Welcome to Yes Also. I'm Suzi Barrett. My guest today is the multi-talented, multi-hyphenate Jiavani. You know her from all of your favorite Dropout shows, but he also toured with Baby Wants Candy for a while and can be seen at UCB in ASCAT, Asian AF, Cuties, and a bunch of other shows. Jiavani came in hot with a couple of hot takes, which is always a great start to these episodes. And the musical improvisers out there will find her opinions particularly interesting and, I hope, inspiring. This is just the first half of this interview. For the second half, you'll become a subscriber at yesalso.supercast.com. And if you live in the UK, I have great news. Jiavani will be there in March. She's headed to Edinburgh, Liverpool, and London, and you can check out her Instagram for more info on those. Speaking of Instagram, make sure you follow us on Instagram at YesAlsoPod. And a huge thank you to those of you who have been sharing our clips. You are really helping to spread the word, and we so appreciate it. Okay, let's get to Jiavani. Oh my goodness, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yay, I was going to say welcome.
Yay, way. Yay, way. We have a lot of ground to cover.
Mm-hmm.
I know like bits and pieces of your story, but I want you to sew it all together for me.
Okay.
I want to cover like early years, San Diego, current stuff.
We can get into it. And I'm glad to be here because there's stuff about improv culture I find really irritating, and I want to talk about it. And I didn't tell you I was like gonna come in with some hot takes, but there's just like I don't want to like lose the thread and then not end up talking about the stuff I want to talk about, which
Let's
I want to talk
start there.
about.
Let's start there.
Yeah, let's start with it.
Yeah,
I'm coming in hot.
do it. Heat me up.
I think that because of the way that American society is structured, people come into improv with like this obsession with the idea of a ladder that they need to climb. And I think that it's just like, I think it's so like detrimental to the art and to the experience of the artist to be like constantly thinking about how to ascend in a way that seems like a path that has been laid out. And I think that like this will bring us to like the way that I have approached being in this community and in this culture across several cities, because I don't subscribe to that, and I feel like I've done great. And I'm watching people just get their hearts broken because they didn't get on a Herald team because they're like so fixated on this idea of ascension.
Yes, this is a perfect take. I so agree with this. Or not that an opinion is something that has to be agreed with, but like, it's rather than a climb to a mountaintop or something, it's more like a giant beach that we're all at.
It's just like, what do you want to do when you're on the beach? You can do lots of different stuff at the beach.
Yes.
And like, you don't, I mean, I know that like in Los Angeles, we are like lousy with stage time. There's so much stage time available that's not available in the same way in other cities. But you know, so much of it though is just people finding rooms to perform in. I don't see as many like house shows as I used to, where people just would like set stuff up in their like the courtyard behind their apartment building, in their living rooms, in their studio apartments, whatever it was just like, this is a thing we like to do and we'll invite however many people fit, and just because we like doing it. Right.
There's a backyard improv show that happens once a month in Studio City right now, the Fancy Improv Show, which is great. And they like drag couches out from their house and they like borrow chairs from their local dance studio and set up like a 60-seat setup on their driveway basically. And it's great. You're exactly right. It's not about asking permission from like the one gatekeeper that's currently there. It's about finding a room or a yard or a park or whatever that could accommodate you.
The flower shop where you know the lady and like she's closed on Friday nights, and you might be like, I could do like a little you never know.
Fully.
It's happened.
Yeah, totally. And so much of the indie scene in LA was born of that, was born of this like issue, that kind of a bottleneck issue with Herald Night at UCB, where it's like, there's 800 people trying to audition for 16 spots, and there's just way too much talent that's like, sitting there. And people found stuff and started stuff. And like back built the clubhouse, and Will started Weegis, and Jake started We, and James started Shared Experience, and even the places that don't have names that are just like one-off shows, like house party shows used to be a big thing here.
We threw a bunch of house party shows. It was a blast.
It was a blast, yeah. And that was kind of like your San Diego buds that kind of started with that, right?
Yeah, that came out of that.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, before we move on from it, I'm gonna my other big hot take that I don't really think anybody's talking about right now is like the musical improv scene, which is having a huge boom right now. I'm struggling because I feel like this is again like a mentality thing where everybody is learning the exact same curriculum from the same person and it's a great way to teach musical improv students how to sort of speak the same language as they're coming up in class. And now at UCB, there's the Sing Out Louise, which is now the musical improv night. And that is so cool. And there's more room for musical improvisers to have somewhere to perform, more stages, because it's a form of the art that needs more space and more support, because you have to have instruments and an accompanist, and it's more necessary. So it's cool to have more space for it. I feel like the people who are coming out of the classes are going, okay, I have learned how to do musical improv. This is how musical improv is done. When that's just a way that musical improv was taught. That's it. And then nobody's branching out. No.
Right.
And I don't think that people are looking to other inspiration like Broadway and going, oh yeah, it's not all verse, chorus. We start with a group number, and then it's mostly 2-person scenes, and then maybe you get a 3-person scene. And this is the song structure, the show structure is so limited right now, and people are not thinking about branching out in any way or doing anything experimental that I'm seeing on the scene right now. I'm trying to get there's this guy Henry Kaiser that I feel is really getting what I'm trying to do, and just he's awesome.
He's lovely,
and he's so emotionally available, and I'm trying to get me and Henry on more shows where we can just be able to say to people hey, there's other ways to format it, there's other ways to do it, and we don't all have to be ironically detached from the things that we're singing about. Even I think the our emotional commitment in musical improv is so unwilling to feel.
Oh wow, yeah, what a statement. You feel it's someone is performatively acting like they're emotionally engaged, so it's a step removed from them, and it's almost like a commentary on what an emotional person looks like, rather than being fully invested with great acting and feeling the song.
There's something that there's something with the essence of parody in musical improv at the moment that I'm trying to break through, and trying to find people who are available for that. And I'm not saying it has to be dramatic musical improv. I'm only saying to be available for the feeling of real connection.
Yeah.
And then it can be as silly as it wants, but I just think that there are more interesting things that can be done that just are not being explored at all.
You're at a precipice. You're seeing the future of the art form, and it needs...
And I'm feeling a little scared.
Yeah. Wow. What feels scary about it?
I'm scared that that we're going to get stuck. That we're going to get stuck and we're not going to be able to find our way out, because it's too many people believing the same thing is the only way.
Have you thought about spearheading some of this, teaching workshops, teaching classes that can... Or even just meetups where it's a sandbox where you go, I don't know the answer, but let's play with true musical improv, meaning we are not prescribing the form ahead of time. We are truly improvising as we go. And even if it's a mess, we're going to improvise it and feel what this thing wants to be.
I want to I'm teaching in other countries and other cities, and I'm trying to instill from an early point this is one way that I'm teaching you, and trying to set it up from the beginning so that there's an understanding early on. In Los Angeles, I'm trying to find people so I can set like just infuse just some like differences into the scene. And I really want to be able to get like seasoned musical improvisers together who, you know, we didn't come up in the same way. Like this particular school of thinking is like within the last 7 years. And the people who started before that, I don't think are locked in the same way. And I wish I could get those people together so we could like practice and try some stuff and see what comes out of it. But practicing is like gone away. Like for people who have been doing it for a long time. And luckily, like so many of us are blessed to be working on like cool stuff where we're getting paid, and there isn't a lot of time to like, you know, meet up in somebody's living room and practice like we used to back in the day, which was really fun and formative. I know. And I try to tell my teams, I like treasure this time. It's really special. Yeah. It's really cool. The teams that I coach. So I'm like, how do I cultivate this? I'm not sure, but I'm like, yeah, I want to come on an improv podcast and just like put this onto the sound waves a little bit. Yeah. I mean, this is a good call to action. It's also like, I would be surprised if other people weren't also feeling this in the scene, given that it's so like the fire is in your belly about it. Certainly there must be people who are like wondering about this. Yeah. And I wonder if this might be a way to kind of like gather those minds and or at least put people's attention on this goal, this project. Yeah, because they're funny, good people coming up, and it's just, and I'm just like, how do I talk to you? And it's such an interesting thing to be on the scene for such a long time and to feel that. I don't know. It feels like improv is still pretty new, but it was like even newer when we were starting out. And it's like, it's weird to feel so much, like I feel so much change. And I think partly that has to do with touring, and like seeing improv in other countries and other cities, teaching it in other places and playing with people. Like I got to do two-prov with a girl from Glasgow when her two-prov partner had like dropped out when we were doing a festival in Edinburgh. And it's like, it is cool to like infuse all of these things, to have all this like sharing. Like we were hanging out in Berlin and like getting like meet and perform with a bunch of people. And I just we did such a fun mashup show in Berlin. That was like the highlight of the fest for me. That was so fun. Yeah. All right, keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off. No, not at all. But it's like, I mean, that's like what is making me, and like Chris also like travels a lot. We've performed in the UK together with Baby Wants Candy, and like I think we've been in other places too. And like I think that I don't know, I'm grateful to just like keep on growing, keep on changing, and like seeing things I want to try and infuse, because that's always how I've approached improv. Like I started in the Pacific Northwest with like youth group at church, and then doing improv at youth group. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, how lucky. It was really lucky. And then I was super lucky. I moved to San Diego and then moved back to the Pacific Northwest, and the school that I ended up at had a comedy team that did improv, stand-up, and sketch. So it was like writing sketch in high school, which was really incredible. Yeah. But I've just been like learning for so long. And like when I moved back to San Diego, and I was at a short form theater there, and while I was also like hosting the dolphin show at SeaWorld and just like singing in bands and just being so San Diego. I loved it. But then I was like, oh, I want to go to Chicago and see Second City, which is just like, it's just something I've heard about. I knew that SNL people had come from there, and I just wanted to see it. Let me go make a pilgrimage and put my eyes on this thing that launched a bunch of careers that I admire. Yeah. And there was a guy from San Diego who had moved out there, and I was like, hey, can I come stay with you? And he was like, you need to go to IO. And I was like, oh, I didn't come here to go to IO. I didn't know anything about IO.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, just trust me. And I like went and I saw TJ and Dave.
Incredible.
And like, just like, you know, some basement and like they did a set. This is two guys. They did a set that started sad, stayed sad, and ended sad. And the audience was like totally engaged, leaned in. Because it's like, I think it's a theater town. And they were comfortable in that improv culture, just watching improvised like existence that was very funny and very skillful. And they weren't like, okay, time for a big joke.
Another joke
like
here.
Time to detach and be so silly that it's like not real anymore. Like, you know, we get it, you're building tension and the joke will hit hard. It's like, no, we're just going. Whatever it is fine.
We are committed to not selling out these characters or this reality. We are marrying ourselves to whatever is true for these two people, even if it stays sad and is never funny. And even if there's long periods of silence or tension or awkwardness, we're going to sit in all of that because we're showing you this slice of life.
Yeah. And it
I
wasn't
respect
not
the hell out
funny.
of that. Right.
It was sad. It wasn't not funny, but it was just like, it was improv that was like, I would color as like a neon blue and gray. And that's just like not a color I really ever see in Southern California.
Yeah. Do you remember what the show was about or like what made it sad or what the dynamic was?
It was some like in the beginning of the set, this woman's cat had died, and it was like starting with that, and she was just like extremely like broken up about her cat having died, and that was her character, and like the way that the story progressed, didn't span a ton of time, so she was going to still be sad about the cat without like dropping that through line of her story.
Yeah. Was she played by TJ or Dave?
Dave.
And then who did TJ play in the story?
I think TJ played the neighbor who was like coming to talk to her. And I think that's probably the most I can remember.
Yeah.
Because I think this was like maybe it would have been 2010.
No, tell me more about the full hour that they did. I'm just always curious because I've only seen them a couple times, but it's like some of the best improv that's ever been done ever. And anytime anyone mentions a show that they saw of theirs, it's like a standout show from their entire life, and for all different reasons. Like sometimes people are like, oh, it was like the best object work I've ever seen. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, it was sad, it was real, it was funny, it was whatever, you know.
Yeah, it was formative. It like seeing that show like changed what I believed improv could be, and how much it could make an audience feel, and what audiences were capable of.
Yeah.
When they arrive at an improv show.
Here's something I'll say about that is, we need to like give our audiences credit for like being able to hang in a compelling silence with us, or being able to sit through discomfort or anger or sadness on the way to the funny again. I also want to say it's got to be in the right hands. Like TJ and Dave are stellar actors who have been like honing this craft for decades. I mean, like, 40 years. And if you just jump in and say like, we're gonna do an hour-long like acted piece, like as like brand new people to the craft who aren't, you know what I mean? Then you do run the risk of like the audience is not leaning in with you. And it's no offense to anyone out there listening. I'm not like trying to trash people's acting. It's like my caution tag on this is like, make sure that you are working and developing and practicing and learning all of the pieces of this craft, the acting, the improv side, the connection between you and your teammates or scene partner, so that you can deliver stuff that's powerful like that. But like an audience will go with it. They really will.
Yeah. I don't know for sure if if you have to wait until you're like more trained.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like right before I moved to LA, in San Diego, there was a big shift in the culture of improv because there was one guy, Chris, I don't remember.
Chris Pine.
I'm like forgetting his last name, but this guy Chris came from Chicago and taught us long form, like introduced the city to long form, and like we all just like ate it up because we thought we were doing long form, but we were doing really long short form. When we thought we were doing long form, we would just like play blind line for 15 minutes. Stupid. But we were like we started to get like very hungry and curious about what else was available and how to do this, because we were finding it more satisfying after having done short form for a long time. Just like, oh, there's another way. Cool. And so we were doing experimental things, and like somebody started, we're like let's try to do a one act. We don't know what we're doing, but we're gonna try it, and like maybe we'll find the audience for it and they'll be with us as we try. And like we went in thinking like we can't be silly for an hour. That would be exhausting for the audience and for us. So we should find real moments of truth to sit in, and that'll make it like that'll give it sustainability.
Yeah.
And that was like short form actors who had only been playing blind line and stuff, going like, okay, we'll just reach for truth. And like,
yes.
I'm like happy that we did that. I'm like very proud of us for doing that.
And I'm glad you said that. This clarifies something. Like I don't want what I said to be interpreted as like me saying, don't do it till you've been working at it for 30 years and then you're ready. Absolutely. Like do it. I think I wanted to differentiate like not everyone is going to be the TJ and Dave that can go for 90 minutes with people crying in the audience, like, and doing like transcendent improv, right? You know, you won't have those results maybe, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't be striving for, connection and truth and reality. You know, I hate ironic detachment. And then it was like, a huge I feel like epidemic here in the mid 2000s where like people were, you know, just being jokey, commenty and whatever. And it does feel like we're moving back into a place where there's more committed acting in general and whatever, like more physicalizing in the space and stuff like that.
It's vulnerable.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. I want to I want to loop back because this relates to something you said earlier when you were talking about musical parody kind of lending itself to a more detached style or that it becomes a genre of like two-dimensional play. Do you think that all musical improv that's happening right now, or what you're seeing, would you put all of it in the parody category? Just because it's like, you know, someone shouts out, the musical's called There's Cheese on My Shoe, and like because it's like kind of a goofy thing, does that kind of guide it towards parody automatically? Or do you feel like there's opportunity that you're seeing where you could do like a genuine committed show about cheese on your shoe, but then isn't that a parody because you are committing to the drama of there being cheese on a shoe? I'm really marrying myself to this title that just farted out of my brain.
The drama of having cheese on your shoe, I think, is funny. I know that the parody thing is not very literal. Just like the essence of like parody is something that's just on the outside a little bit, watching it, trying to convey something that's like, I don't know. I don't know exactly how to articulate this. Yeah. Because it is just like the essence of parody. And I do like when a musical like starts to map over an existing musical like a Les Miserables, because we get stylistic choices that we aren't normally seeing in musical improv. And that to me is interesting. And that happens sometimes at like a dramatique. And just it happens sometimes, and I think that it can be cool. So it's not that.
Maybe here's the difference. Maybe like in the instance that you're talking about, where you feel like the performance is leaning too parody-ish or too distant. In those cases, it's as if the performers are saying, we're doing a parody of what musicals are.
Yes.
We're teasing what it looks like from the outside to look at Wicked or to look at Les Mis. Look at us. We're marching in a line and kind of like joking and heightening that versus a parody that is... I got to change the cheese on my shoe example because it's such a, it's like, what does that even mean? Is it nacho cheese that I dropped on my shoe? I don't know. We'll stick with it. There's cheese on my shoe. If we treat that with the depth of acting and the legitimacy and the drama that Les Mis actually has, and we're treating this with the stakes of like, Jean Valjean going to prison, it's like the cheese on my shoe is like tearing our city apart and we're going to have a revolution about it. Then that's parody still, because it's the subject matter feels like it's low stakes and we're treating it with high stakes, but the way that we're playing it is not goofing what musicals are. We are actually crying while we sing, and we are actually like, there's spit coming out of our mouths as we march with the shoe towards the walls of the city. Is that the difference?
I think I was getting the feeling in both of those examples that like both of those could. Whoa, how was the first one again?
Like that the parody element is that you're parodying what musicals look like. So it's a little bit like, can you hear the people sing? It's a little bit joked or distant or shallow.
Off of that, it feels like the way that like musicals felt, like the way that people who are not super familiar with musicals think of musicals, like the like an older like more classic, like whatever.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like that, where it's like this is a sort of a weird take on like life, like that does not, or like the way that the Brady Bunch feels, where it's like, yeah, that doesn't feel like this is a style of entertaining and not like a reflection of what life actually feels like.
Right.
And it's like, it feels like the essence of parody in that way. The second way that you're describing, which is like full, like snot flowing emotional commitment. I wonder how to keep it like literal, the cheese on your shoe, because in my mind it would be a metaphor if we're going like that hard, but I don't know, maybe that's like how it works, and I'm just like, okay, valid. I'm just curious about it.
Yeah. Well, and really treating the cheese as a metaphor would be like another level even smarter and better. Like I'm thinking like, oh, it's like kind of a map over, and you're going even deeper. Like, let's find out what the meaning of this is, and like what, like you're really like writing it from the inside, like in an artful way.
I think I want to be clear that like I'm not saying that it can't be funny, and I think part of why I trust this experimentation and this exploration and this willingness to emotionally commit is because the people that I'm playing with are so funny inherently that it's just like it feels easy to me to trust that like the audience came for a comedy show and I can still satisfy that even if this wasn't what they were expecting. I think that I can still like make them feel entertained from a comedic standpoint
fully,
because of the way that our spirits work and the way that our brains and imaginations work. Like it's gonna be fine, but to have the breadth to go in any direction in that way and not be limited to the silly and detached.
Yes.
But that it can, I don't know, that you can like, especially when you're doing an hour-long set with something, and you're doing longer sets with musicals, you've got time to experience a range of emotions. So like, why not explore them instead of like having them all be the same color of not real.
Yeah. Yeah, the same like plasticky,
Yeah.
two-dimensional. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you. And absolutely the let's call it the snot flowing style. Gross. That ends up being funny just by virtue of the commitment. If you are that committed about something that feels like it's low stakes, I mean, it's like Naked Gun. It's like you turn the volume down on the new Naked Gun movie, and Liam Neeson looks like he's in a normal Liam Neeson movie. Like he's still acting it so straight, and that's what works, you know.
I think a lot about Catherine O'Hara's performance in Home Alone.
Yes.
And I'm just like, would I have understood the assignment? Like if I had got cast in that part, would I have understood like the tone that she strikes in that, which doesn't feel out of place in a comedy, but is so committed and like she has to get to her son. Like this is, she hits it perfectly.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know that I would have totally known that. Like if I just like read the script and it's like, oh, like the kid is, you know, sledding down the stairs and stuff. Right. Like how does my performance fit into this world? Like, I don't know that I would have known. Like, I don't know. I just felt like it was just pitch perfect.
Yeah, especially from someone like her who comes from a sketch comedy background and could have very easily stepped a little bit outside and joked it just a little bit or winked a little bit, and she truly doesn't. And that's what pays off like the heart and soul at the end of the movie, and makes, you know, even when like the sensitive music starts playing, it's a tender, sweet movie. I'm glad you called that out. What a genius she is.
Home Alone is such a good example of what I'm trying to do with musical improv, because like also there was a big thing with Home Alone where like it was absolutely incredible that they were able to get John Williams for the music. Yeah. Like because that would have been a different movie without the commitment to that music. Like, right. I mean, the like I can't like recall the melody. Yeah. If you have like schlocky music with that movie, which you absolutely could have, right? It just like, and it would have been a fun movie, but it would have been a different movie that would not have like lasted for us to be talking about it. It would have been
a romp for kids, instead of like a lasting movie, 4-quadrant movie that everyone loves, and still makes me cry sometimes.
And like, oh my gosh, rewatching it as an adult and seeing the like how meticulous the writing is to make it plausible that they forgot him. Yes. Like the milk being spilled on the plane ticket, and like the you know, the kid with the beanie on being counted. It's just like there were checks in place that like were just like it had to happen like this, and it's like it's believable. So we've got the opportunity with musical improv to we've got these like incredible musicians who are accompanying us, sometimes just piano, but like, you know, people like Hal Rosenberg Hal's drummer was like on tour with Hamilton, and he like
I didn't know
plays with
That's
Baby
incredible.
Wants Candy, and like he's just like there. Like we have these incredible musicians like there with us. We have these like, you know, a lot of improvisers are also professional actors with like extensive what's that called, like formal training, like formal acting training, in addition to their improv training. We've got the opportunity to tell stories. We've got the time to explore different emotions, and then like come out with an experience like Home Alone. I feel like that is the opportunity that we have, and what's hard for me in the scene right now is that I feel like it's an opportunity that's being missed.
Yeah. I feel that even in non-musical improv in general right now, where the precipice that you're describing, where it's like it's the idea of getting stuck is scary, the jumping off the cliff is not the scary part. I'm feeling that, where it's like it feels like there were all of these innovations and strides being made in like the 90s and early part of the 2000s, and it's like it's kind of been the same for a while. And this feeling of like, yeah, teams don't really practice the way we did when we were younger and coming up, and like, does that mean that there's never going to be a new thing like JTS Brown that was like a form that was born of people rehearsing 3 times a week for a year, developing this style before they ever even played in front of an audience? It's like, when are we going to come up with new ways of doing this? Or like the legendary teams that are really like, you know, connected in ways that are transcendent. If we don't put in that kind of time, that is starting to scare me. And it's like, and we have like the best brains in the world in this town, you know, and in other towns. I don't mean to say like it's only LA, but like there's so much talent here, and there's so much good improv that's even just being done at the basic level. How do we get it to the next thing?
And we're in a time period where we all just shared a trauma.
Right.
And like, I feel like
one trauma.
I know, right? Like coming out of pandemic and like, you know, being there as the theaters are being reopened, and like there was this like depth of emotion happening where that we couldn't avoid, where people were so excited to be back on stage and to be back with their friends and to be back performing again, and this undercurrent of like, you know, the hardship that we'd all just like been through, and we're still going through and still feeling, and like feeling the effects of like the new things that are now happening, and I feel like I think that I love and respect audiences, and that like I know that they're coming there not to be bummed out, and I'm not trying to bum them out. I want to entertain them. I want them to laugh. I want them to leave feeling good, and that's important to me.
You want to bum them in.
Something like that.
Right
Something
in.
like that. We're like to just like see you where you are, and like see all of it, and like it's not just like, oh, let me like just turn on a really bright light and then, you know, turn it off when you leave, but to go like, hey, and like really try to have a connection with you, of like, hey, we experience similar things as humans, and like I want to show a lot of that experience with you, for you, about me, about us. Whoa.
Here you go.
I know. There you go. I feel like that undercurrent of kind of darkness, I feel like hasn't gone away, but has been pushed down in favor of the style that I'm talking about, feeling kind of a little frustrated with or afraid of.
It's almost what literally happened during that era of musicals. Like people came through the war using things like Oklahoma and like Hello Dolly. Like we're gonna like wash off what just happened with like a row of cakes that get marched out by 80 men in tuxedos, and ta-da.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that can't feel good. I'm just saying I want there to be other stuff.
Yeah. I love the notion of like stepping out of the formula that everyone has learned, which is great as a learning vocabulary, but this applies to all improv. It's like you learn a set of training wheels and then like take them off so you can like start doing tricks on your bike, or so that it can feel fresh and exciting even to you, and that even the show itself or the form itself becomes a discovery that's exciting for the actors in the moment, rather than a list that they're checking off one by one to like complete a homework assignment, which an audience can feel. I think they can feel when the performers get lit up and excited and surprised in the moment, and which is something that's great about improv is the performers are also audience members to what's happening. But yeah, if you are shackled by something that is such a limited prescribed form that you are not like fully open to those discoveries and opportunities, then you're limiting, yourselves, the audience, you're putting a ceiling on the amount of joy that can happen in the room.
Yeah. I just like want to be painters with all of the colors at our disposal.
Yeah. But most especially fluorescent blue and gray. Yeah.
It's missing in our palette.
Are you an artist? Are you a painter?
No.
No. I was so fascinated that you used that analogy. It's so evocative, and it seems like you have an artist's mind if you visualized it like that.
I do love color. And I think I have design in mind, and I try to draw without judgment, because I also believe that it's like, it sucks that we think that if we don't have formal art training that we shouldn't draw, or that like if we're not as good as this person that we've seen, that like, oh, I don't draw. So I try to just like draw just because I think it's good for you.
Yeah. You have like a DNA that runs through you of like empowerment and demystifying hierarchy. You know, you started by saying, let's get rid of this notion of a ladder that we're climbing. I love that even extends to like pastimes, where you're like, I'm not gonna not do this just because I don't have like the title of artist or
exactly. I really do just want to like dissolve or like blow up these ideas of like being at a certain level to do things, or getting a certain approval to do the things that are good for our spirits. And like, I'm going further with this, but like in a time where everything is being like monetized, and I say a time and a place. This is like, there's so many things that are specific to the United States.
Yeah.
That like we don't realize are affecting our mentalities and like affecting the way that we feel, because we aren't feeding our souls, because we think we're not allowed to, because we're not good enough, because this person said we weren't good enough, or because
that's what sells products.
Yeah.
If commercials said you were enough and you're great, you wouldn't buy the headphones or the shoes.
It's impossible
car.
to sell things when you feel like you have enough and you're good enough.
Right.
So of course, like there's just going to be things in place to make us feel bad.
Right. Oof. It is that is such a darkness of where society has gone with unchecked capitalism. It makes me so sad, because it's also like, that's what's bad for the planet, is like people buying more things than they need and throwing them out. And anyway, it's go ahead.
I remember something that I wanted to talk about that's giving me a lot of hope.
Great.
In improv.
Great.
Me and Alex Berg brought silent soundtrack to the UK.
Right.
At the behest of Jason Perez, who is like doing really cool things in Scotland. That he was like, would you teach this here? Yeah. We don't have it, and I think that like people would really benefit from it. And so like Alex taught the workshop at the festival in Edinburgh, and like I am imparting what I know about silent soundtrack and trying to like share this, because it's I think Sassy Bluff is the only team that's doing it in Los Angeles, and I think it's like a form that's going to die.
It is one of my favorite forms.
Yeah.
And I play with soundtrack at UCB now in this like latest iteration, as they've like been missing people from like journeys. Like people are like, Tony leaves for half the year and they're like, we need to fill in the cracks or whatever. But even backstage before the show, like my first time sitting in, I was like, can we do some scenes where we don't speak? Because that used to be a convention of soundtrack, was like, not every scene has to have dialogue. It's like, feel it out.
That's so cool.
But we ended up doing like one or two scenes like that. But still now it's like defaulting back to, eventually the volume goes down and people speak. And I think the scenes the show is stronger when you have some silent scenes. And as a whole, like Sassy Bluff, for the listeners, I mean, it's probably clear, but silent soundtrack is just like each scene is underscored by a song, and you never put dialogue to it. You physicalize the scene. Some are absurd, some are actual, 2-person or 3-person relationship scenes. Some are very simple games, like this person's on a treadmill that works. This person's treadmill is too fast. This one's won't turn on. And we just see what that kind of group game looks like physically. But it's such a powerful way to it awakens a heightening spirit in the improvisers, I think, that's like pure comedy because you're taking the words out of it.
Yes, there's also a flow state that you don't get when you're like trying to think of something clever to say and you're just like moving with the group and just like letting it happen. Feel the suggestion is the song, so you're just like connecting to the music up top and then connecting with each other. It's a really powerful and super entertaining form that also I'll like do a little add in that like had a really cool following of deaf audience pre-pandemic that like had found this way to enjoy improv where they didn't feel like they weren't missing so much of it,
right?
But we are teaching it in Scotland. I start teaching a team in London over Zoom that like, because like people loved it and they like really grabbed onto it and had a lot more questions and wanted to explore it more. And so I'm teaching this team in London over Zoom like only every like couple months, but I coached them yesterday and they are better than me. Oh. And it filled me with so much joy because they're doing silent soundtrack shows in London, and they're like, yeah, like the audience like doesn't really get it at first, but then once they do, they're like, they love it. They're really like eating it up. And I'm like, yes, of course. And like, because I'm seeing them do it and they're doing it so well, and they're doing things that like I didn't teach them, that like we aren't doing here, but they also have like doubled the size of their team. And so they're also teaching it to people there effectively.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, it's like, it's not going to die.
Yeah.
This is amazing. It's so beautiful. And I'm so proud of them. And they're trying something so new that I don't think have ever seen a show of. Like, this is just something we have strictly just taught them, and they are thriving, and it makes me so happy.
I love that. It's important to remember too that like just by virtue of them performing these shows, they are also teaching people en masse, because any audience member seeing it now sees what it is, and now you learn a lot just by watching shows, especially if it's a form you've never seen before. When you say they're better than me, what are you're fantastic. Like, what are you spotting that they're doing that you feel like is better than you?
I mean, they're surprising me with their moves. They're choosing stage pictures that I've never seen before, because I love improv in LA. I'm not trying to like rag on it at every fucking turn in this podcast, but I'm like, we do a lot of like sitting in two chairs in restaurant scenes in LA that I'm like not seeing nearly as frequently in New York or Chicago. And like they did like a crew like rowing scene that felt so real and lived in, with 3 different teams of rowers like changing boats and like and the way that they were moving through the space, like to show who was like winning the race and like synchronizing their row, like it was so dropped in. And like I just like, honestly, it was like a lot of their big picture choices as a team, like their group mind was so good.
For part 2 of this episode, go to yesalso.supercast.com. If you like this podcast and you want double the content, head over to yesalso.supercast.com and subscribe. You can also help us out for free by subscribing to us on YouTube and talking us up to your improv communities. If you have a question that you'd like us to answer in one of our Q&A episodes, or a topic that you think would make a great bonus episode, put it in a 5-star review. If you're a theater who would like to host us for a live recording and improv show, let us know at yesalsopod@gmail.com. A very special thanks to our producer, Ryan Rosenberg, audio and video editor, Brian Kessler, and Britt Faye, who does our marketing. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week. No, we won't, Suzi. That's not how podcasts work. They won't even see us. They will listen to us, so it's actually the opposite of both things you said. Thanks for listening, and you will listen to us next week. Maybe. We don't know.